Steve, I think everyone agrees now that term limits, at least in their current form, aren't working, that they're doing more harm than good to governance in Michigan, but nobody seems to know how to undo this thing we did. What are your thoughts on what it's going to take to get out from under the effects of this law?
Term limits, when you poll about them or
Mhm.
ask the public about them, they
Yeah.
still have a fairly significant amount of support. And they are tied right now, I think, to the general lack of faith
Mm.
in political leaders. That we've had such a long run of political narrative that says everybody who gets elected is out for themselves. Everybody who gets elected is potentially corrupt. None of them know what they're doing. People buy into that narrative, and so it becomes difficult to convince them that they shouldn't be limited in the amount of time that they're around. This is a public problem at this point. As you point out, I think everybody who's part of government or covers government or has to deal with government has seen how badly it's failed. But the public still thinks this is the right way to run things.
The irony there is it's hurting the people of Michigan, the people who thought, well, we'll get rid of these career politicians. Instead, we've got a whole lot of pogo sticking politicians always looking to their next job. We've got people entering leadership positions after one term, two term in the legislature. They really don't know the how the institution works, the limits of their own power. They don't fully understand constitutional governing. So you've got really basically amateur hour up there, and it makes the institution a lot more powerful than the people's representatives. And I don't think we're going to get rid of term limits. I think we can modify them, but I've always advocated for giving voters something else, making them feel like they have another hammer. And I've always felt the best way to do that was part-time legislature.
Well, I mean, part-time legislature is maybe its own bag of tricks. I mean, I've lived in two states that had part-time legislatures, Kentucky and Maryland. Both, I think, do the best they can under those circumstances, but they have a lot of problems that are related to part-time legislating that I don't know that are improvements. You do have to attack this notion that people have about the people who represent them, and you have to make changes to bring those representatives closer to those people. We've already taken, I think, a little bit of a step in that direction with taking redistricting away from elected leaders and putting it in the hands of citizens. I also think reforming campaign finance, at least making it more transparent, if nothing else, is another way to get people to think more highly of the people who represent them. And you and I know most of these people who hold elected office, they're nowhere near as bad as the public thinks they are. They are hobbled by some of this stuff, but they're not bad people.
Not bad people, but they could be a lot better with a little experience. And what we're doing, denying them here, is experiencing. I think that the book is going to be out on redistricting until we see what happens. You got 39 states operate with a part-time legislature. I don't think if you go to Michigan voters and just say, hey, term limits don't work, we want to lengthen them, they should be lengthened to at least 12 years for both the House and the Senate. I just don't think the people will buy it unless you make them feel like they've got something else to hold over these folks. And 39 states operate with a part-time legislature. I don't see any reason why Michigan can.
Part-time legislature would solve some of our problems, but again, it's sort of nibbling around the edges, I think, instead of dealing with this core problem, which is that people feel disconnected from the people who represent them. They think that they're not there for them. They don't think that there's an actual relationship between the people who are there and good governing. And we've got to prepare that.
Because they come and go so quick, you don't get to know folks. And, I haven't seen any recent polling on this. I assume, the folks who might put the money behind a ballot drive just don't believe they can be successful at it. But this is perhaps one of the worst things we've ever done to ourselves.